You can draw this in Procreate. During this super easy Procreate tutorial, I'm going to guide you through all the steps of creating this lovely snow landscape. I promise you it's super easy, so I'm sure you will end up with a result you will be proud of. The canvas we're working on is 3000 by 2000 pixels. I have left a link to a color palette for you down in the description. It's totally free, of course. And we'll also be using some of my free brushes. If you don't already have them, go to freefromflow.com to get them. Like I said, it's totally free. And then if you're ready, let's get started. We are going to start by creating some simple hill shapes. And first we need a brush. I'd like to use a brush from the classic library. To go there, you need to tap this little arrow, then go back to libraries, and then go to classic library. And then I'd like to go to the inking brushes and use the studio pen. And for the color, we'll use this one. That is the first color in the second row. Now the opacity of the brush is at 100% and the size is at 10%. And now we need to go from the left of the canvas. Make sure you are zoomed out so you can see the edge. We need to go from all the way to the left, all the way to the right. So we'll start a bit below, like the center, and then we'll make a curved line like this. And then you can drag in the color underneath. And we'll make another layer on top. We'll tap the plus, and then we will pick this color, third color in the second row. And we'll go like this. We'll go a little bit higher and then down like this. And drag in the color. So always make sure that the line goes all the way from the left all the way to the right. If your color still spills, then you might need to adjust your color drop threshold. I will show you right now. First, let's make a new layer in between these. So first we'll tap this one, and we'll tap the plus. Then we'll pick this color, second color in the second row. And again, we need to go all the way from here on the left. And then we'll make a line that is a little bit higher. And then when you drag in the color, if you want to adjust your color drop threshold, what you need to do is drag in the color, and then you can move your pen from left to right, and then you'll see that threshold. And just go all the way to the right until it almost spills. Then you're sure that you don't get a little weird edge. All right, then let's make another layer. Let's go here. Let's tap the plus, and then let's pick this color, fourth color in the second row. And then we'll make slightly curved line in the front, then drag in the color. Now I just want another little like hill shape over here. So let's make a layer underneath. So first we'll tap this one, and we'll tap the plus. And then instead of starting at the left, you can also start at the bottom, like here, and then make a curved line like this. And then drag in the color. So these are our simple snowy hill shapes. Now let's make a layer for our background. Let's tap the plus, and then drag that layer all the way to the bottom. This will be our sky. And then for the color, let's start with this one. First color in the first row. Let's drag it on there. And then we will pick a brush. We'll go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And now we are going to paint in a gradient for our sky. First we'll pick this color, second color in the first row. Now the opacity of this brush is at 85% and the size is at 21. And now let's go over here, not all the way to the top, but add in this brighter blue. Then we'll switch to this third color in the first row and add a little bit of that to the area of the horizon. Just here at the bottom, nice little glow like this. And now to make this gradient softer, you can go to the magic wand, then to Gaußian blur, and then slide your pen to the right on your screen like this. And I'll set it to 40%. And then just tap the magic wand again to get out of there. Next, we are going to add gradients to our hill shapes. But before we do that, I want to blur them just a little bit, since they, like this one, it's in a distance, so it wouldn't be that crisp. So you can go to the magic wand, then to Gaussian blur, then slide to the right to, like, let's say 4%. That's fine. And then once you have blurred the layer, you can tap the layer and turn on alpha lock. And then we can use that soft brush on this layer and we can paint on it without going outside of this shape. Now for the color, I'll be picking this second one in the second row. And let's check. The brush might be a bit too big right now. Let's make it a bit smaller, 12%. And then go over the top area, creating slight gradient here. Then we'll do the same for the next layer. So first we'll blur it again. So we'll go to the magic wand, then to Gaussian blur, slide to the right to maybe 3% this time. Then go back to the layer, tap it, and turn on alpha lock. Then back to the brush. Yeah, we already have that. Of course, we need to pick the other color, the darker ones, first color in the second row. So this time we'll go over the underside. Something like this. And then on to the next one. This layer, go to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur, slide to the right to 3%. Then tap the layer, turn on alpha lock. And now we will pick this color, fourth color in the second row. And we're going to add light to the top here. And also here, something like this. Over here, there will be trees. We'll have shadow there. For now, something like this is good. Then on to the next one. Go to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur. This time, let's go, well, let's still go for 3%, like a big 2%. Something like this. Then tap the layer, turn on alpha lock. Then go to the third color in the second row. And let's go over here. Darken this hill a bit. Maybe something like this. Then on to the next one. I want to blur this one a little bit as well. Go to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur, and set it to 2%. Then tap the layer, turn on alpha lock, and it will start with this blue. Add some of that on the underside. And I think in this case, we can also add a bit of like a purple color. Maybe this one, fourth color in the first row. Go over here. I think that's a nice addition. Maybe a little bit here as well. And maybe even darker with maybe this color. Seventh color in the first row. We get a nice shadow area here. That looks great. Next, we'll be adding the trees to our scene. Now, I want to go to the treasure chest brush pack. It's a totally free brush pack. If you don't already have it, go to freefromflow.com to get it. I have it in my other library, so I need to go back to libraries, to the Procreate library, then to the treasure chest brush pack, and then pick the pine tree broad brush. And for the color, we'll use this one, fourth color in the first row. And we'll start with the trees in the background behind this hill. So first we need to select this layer, then tap the plus, and then here we can make a nice row of trees. The opacity of the brush should be at 100%. Let's set the size to maybe 3. Let's see. Start about here. And then make a nice row of trees. You don't have to go all the way to the right because some of these will be blocked. So something like this, and then we need to blur these. This is weird. It's weird that this hill is a bit blurry and then the trees are crisp. Doesn't make sense, so we need to blur these. Let's go to the magic wand and to Gaussian blur, slide to the right. And yeah, let's go for 3%. I think this looks nice. And then we'll move on and go to this layer, tap the plus, and switch the color to the 5th and the 1st row. And we can make our brush a little bit bigger, maybe 8%. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's nice. They're actually placed nicely as well. Maybe we can go even bigger. Well, you can't make a big tree by just placing a bunch of them on top of each other, of course. Or you can make the brush bigger. But it also works like this. Yeah, I think this is nice. Now let's blur these trees a little bit as well. We can go to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur, slide to the right to 3%. And we could also add a little bit of a gradient to this, this section, of course. What we can do is tap the layer, turn on alpha lock, and then we can either go back to that other library or you can go to the basics brushes and use the Forester brush. It's a bit like the soft brush. And then for the color, let's pick this one, 4th color in the 1st row. Opacity of the brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to 10 and go over this section just a little bit. It's really subtle. And then over the other section, we can use this color. That's the 6th color in the 1st row. And add a bit of a darker shade here. Then on to the next section. Let's tap this layer, then tap the plus, and then we need our tree again. So we need to go back to the treasure chest brush pack, to the pine tree broad brush. And for the color, we'll use this one. That is the 7th color in the 1st row. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. How about 14%? Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty nice. We can make multiple tabs on top of each other. Just make some bigger trees here. Yeah, something like this. And then let's blur this a bit by going to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur, slide to the right to about, well, let's say 2%. Now let's tap that layer again, turn on alpha lock, and add a bit of a gradient here as well. Now let's go back to that Forester brush, and then let's pick this 2nd color in the 1st row and just blend in the tops a little bit. Just a little, and we can also go for this one, 3rd color in the 2nd row. Might be a bit too light in this case. I think it nicely blends them with the background. All right, now let's go for some bigger trees. Let's tap the plus for a new layer on top of this. Then go back to the treasure chest brush pack. And for the color, I'd like to use this one, 8 color in the 1st row. And now let's make the brush bigger, maybe 30%. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's make a big tree here. Something like this, and then another one right next to it, a little bit lower. I think that's nice. Then let's make another one on top of this layer. So let's tap the plus and then put one over here. Maybe move it up a little bit. This is just one tree, so we can just go to the move and transform tool, move it up. We could also set this to freeform, maybe make this one a little bit more narrow, something like this. maybe even longer. And then I'd like to cut off the bottom part. What we can do is we can go to the eraser. I have it set to the studio pen, which is in the classic library. And you need to make sure that the opacity is at 100%. Now let's rotate this a bit. And now let's create like a hilly shape here. And the size, by the way, is at 14%, but doesn't really matter. As long as you can make a nice crisp line like this. Then let's make another layer here. Let's tap the plus, go back to that pine tree broad brush, and let's place some trees over here as well. Another one here, maybe a small one. Yeah, something like this. Now these are a bit closer to the viewer. I'd like to add an extra touch to these trees. Let's go to these two over here first. I'd like to use the smudge tool here. I hope you're having fun so far creating your own snow landscape. If you want to have even more fun in Procreate, don't forget to check out my Patreon page. You will find a lot more landscape painting tutorials there, but also character drawing, florals, painting animals, realism, whatever you can think of, you can find it there because there are more than 250 Procreate tutorials. So if you can't get enough of these, that is the place to go for you. I would love to see you there, so I will leave a link for you down in the description if you want to check it out. But now let's continue. So let's select the smudge tool. And then let's go to the paints. Oh, what's happening? Okay, the paints. And then I like to use the Piermont brush. And let's go in here. Now, the opacity or the smudge strength is at 90%. Size is at 2. And we can go along these like leaves, no branches a bit, giving it a bit more of a painterly look and making these trees look a bit less generic. You can just make some zigzaggy motions. Just channel your inner Bob Ross here. Makes it look more painterly. I like this. And we are going to do that for the other trees as well. So this one is on this layer. We'll go there. Do our zigzag magic here as well. Something like this. Yeah. And then for these three, actually, we'll go to this layer. And again, create that painterly effect just by zigzagging a bit. Not too much, just a little. Like this. Now let's also add a bit of a gradient to these as well. We can just tap the layers and turn on alpha lock. Another way to turn on alpha lock, by the way, is by sliding to the right on the layer with 2 fingers. Super handy. And then let's go back to what's happening. Yeah, let's go back to the basics brushes, to the forester brush. And then pick a nice blue. Let's go for this color, 7th color in the first row. And let's go over the underside just a little bit. It's like the light from the moon is reflecting on the snow and hitting the tree from the underside a bit. Let's do that for this one as well. Awesome. And then for these as well, a little bit of blue makes it look amazing. Next, let's put a moon in our sky. So let's go to our sky layer here, tap the plus, And then for our brush, I'd like to go back to the treasure chest brush pack and use the moon brush. And for the color, let's use this one, fourth color in the second row. Opacity of this brush is at 100%, size at 14. And let's just tap here to place our moon. Of course, you can go to the move and transform tool, move it around to place it exactly where you want it to be. I think this is good. And then turn that off and then go to the magic wand and then to bloom to make our moon light up. We'll slide to the right on our screen and you can play around with the size of the glow and with the burn until you get something that you like. You still want to be able to see all the craters. So I'll go for something like this. If you want to see the before and after, you can always tap your screen and then use this preview option. I like where it's at. Bloom for me is at 33%, size at 44, burn at 46. And then let's get out of here. And then let's make a little extra glow below. Let's first select this layer, then tap the plus. Then tap the N to change the layer blending mode here. And let's set it to add. Add is a great layer blending mode for adding light effects. And then for our color, we'll use this one, a third color in the second row. And for the brush, we need a soft brush. So let's go to those basic brushes, use the Forester brush. And then we'll go around here. And then you can always just go to the magic wand and to Gaußian blur, slide to the right to make that glow even softer. I think this looks good. Let's go back. So we have this moonlight and that is causing shadows, of course. So let's make some shadows for these trees. Now let's start with these. Let's duplicate this layer, slide to the left, tap duplicate. Then we'll place this on top of this hill shape. Then go to the move and transform tool, tap flip vertical, and then we'll move these down. And then we are going to distort them. So tap distort. Let's zoom out a little bit. Use this handle to make them move to the left because the moonlight is here. So you'll have these beams creating this shadow like this. Now let's go to the layer, tap that layer and turn on clipping mask so that the shadow will only appear on the hill. Then let's tap this layer and turn off alpha lock. And let's also change the layer blending mode by tapping the N and setting it to multiply. And we can also lower the opacity. Let's go for 80%. And let's blur this layer a bit. We'll go to the magic wand, to Gaussian blur, slide to the right, to like 6%. And then go to the magic wand again and use motion blur. And with the motion blur, we can choose the direction. So let's make the direction follow that angle like this. Just a little bit. I'll go for 23% and then tap the magic wand again. Then let's pick the Forester brush again and turn on alpha lock on this layer. I want some brighter blue here. So let's pick this one, 7th color in the first row, and let's go over the shadow a bit, making it a bit more bluish. I like the way that looks. Now let's do it for the other trees as well. Let's start with this one. Let's slide to the left, tap duplicate. Let's drag it down here. It'll automatically be clipped. Now let's turn off alpha lock. Then go to the move and transform tool, flip it vertical, move it down, and then use distort to angle it like this. Then let's turn this off. Let's go ahead and blur it first with Gaussian blur. add like 6%. Then again, go to motion blur, go in this direction just a little bit. I'm at like 19%. And then go back to the layer, tap it to turn on alpha lock. And then with this brighter blue 7 color, we'll go over again, adding a bit of blue in the shadow. Now we can move it up a little bit. I can see a slight light edge. Let's go to the move and transform tool, move it up a bit. And then I also want the shadow to appear on this hill over here. So we can duplicate this, slide to the left, tap duplicate, move this layer to the top here. And then we can tap this again and use clipping mask. So we have this little part here as well. We can also go to the move and transform tool, set it to warp, and warp this shadow just a little bit. So we get that effect of that hill, moving it slightly, and then tapping the arrow again. And of course, we can set these layers to multiply and lower the opacity to 80%. So for this one and for this one as well, tap the N, set it to multiply, and lower the opacity to 80%. Now finally, we just need to do it for these trees. So let's duplicate this layer, slide to the left, tap duplicate, move this layer on top of this hill, set the layer to clipping mask. Let's turn off alpha lock at this point as well. Then go to the move and transform tool, flip this vertical. Let me go to uniform. For now, move this down. Then go to distort, drag it slightly. And then we are going to blur it. Let's go to the magic wand, Gaußian blur, slide to like 5%, and go to the magic wand again for motion blur and drag it down a little bit. Then let's tap the N on the layer, scroll up to multiply and set it to 80%. And in this case as well, I want the shadow to show up on this hill section as well. So let's duplicate the layer and then drag it on top here. And again, here you can go to the move and transform tool, set it to warp, and twist it a little bit. Just a little shift. Now I want to add some extra detail to the snow. Let's go to this layer. And for the brush, I actually want to use the smudge tool again. And this time I want to use the Winkly brush. Now the opacity of this brush is at 80%. Let's set the size at 50. And now we can go over these sections a bit and drag some colors around. It's a bit subtle, but it gives a nice painterly effect. Just back and forth. And we can also use this as a brush by tapping and holding to make it switch to that Winkly brush. And now we can use this fourth color, for instance, in the second row. And then you can add a bit more of this light snow effect. And in this case, you could also move back and forth between the brush and the smudge tool, gently working on the snow. And let's do this on the layer here as well. This one at the top with the smudge tool, adding a little bit of that texture. And to make the snow look even better, I want to add some sparkles. And I want to add those sparkles with a brush from the classic library. So let's go back to libraries, then to the classic library to where are they? The luminance brushes, and use the glimmer brush. We'll stick with this color. And we are going to add a new layer on top of this one. Let's tap the plus. And let's set the layer blending mode to add again here, because that is great for lighting effects. Now the opacity of the brush is at 100%, size at 5. And now let's go over this area, adding those nice sparkles for this fresh snow. And you can vary the pressure that you use a little bit. If you use light pressure, you'll get small sparkles, and if you press harder, they will get bigger. And to make it a bit more subtle, let's add a few more here. To make it a bit more subtle, you can lower the opacity a bit by tapping the A and going for 70%, for instance. And then let's also add some sparkles on top of this layer. Let's tap the plus, tap the N, scroll down to add, and then add some sparkles here as well. Perfect snow. And here as well, you can lower the opacity a little bit, make it more subtle. Let's go for 70%, like this. And then just the final touch that our piece needs are some stars. Let's go to the bottom. Let's go here and then tap the plus for a new layer. And then for the brush, we'll go to the light pen. Now the opacity for this brush is at 100%, size at 31. And now you can just add some random stars. And the harder you press, the bigger the star will become. So try to vary that a little bit. Make some little clusters. And the most stars will be visible in a darker area, so more at the top. So just some brighter ones and some smaller ones. And then once you have a bunch of them, you can call your piece finished. I hope you had fun following along. Don't forget to share your work, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial.